Welcome to Prime Space, a Prime Coaching Academy podcast with your host, Elias Scultori. So, hello, coaches. Welcome again to another episode of Prime Space. Today, this episode is part of the Culture in Coaching series that I have here, Prime Space. In this series, usually I have a guest who is part of or works with a specific segment of the human population. And the objective of having these conversations is for us to get a glimpse of what is to work with people in individuals in this population. But most importantly, the objective here is to expand our listening, paying attention to the nuances of every individual, regardless of each culture. Every individual is unique, right? So what can we learn from these different perspectives that will enhance our listening and our observation of our clients? Today, I have with me Rory. Hello, Rory.
Hello, Elias. How are you?
Very good to have you here, Rory Kullander. Rory is an ACC coach. You probably already noticed, Rory was born in Ireland, but today he is director of instructional coaching at GEMS Education in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. And you can see already that culture is part of Rory's story here. Rory, such rich conversation here. Rory lives in Dubai with his wife and two kids. One is 16, one is 7. Beautiful family, Rory. Rory, let's start here. How long have you been in Dubai?
Yeah, thank you. We're in Dubai at the moment and at peak heat. So we're at about between 40 and 43 degrees until it cools down in about November time. So we're adapting to that. This is our 9th year here in Dubai, and I've been working in the same school for 9 years. And it was about 5 years ago, I had my first introduction to coaching. And that kind of opened up my eyes to falling in love with coaching as I did with my subject of psychology, but noticing a kind of a gap within education of where coaching could land. So I went on, obviously did my coach training, my coaching certificate, and I've been lucky enough to be able to work as a teaching and learning coach at the school for 3 years, where I've been able to train over 47 of our senior leaders, middle leaders in our 2-day coaching program, and worked extensively with teachers and leaders. And I actually just introduced our students to a 4-hour leadership coaching skills kind of program last year. And now I have the opportunity working in Dubai, obviously having some clients outside as well. So it's coaching for me. When I experienced it, I knew I had to learn more so I could give it back. That was just what I needed to do.
I'm always fascinated by having these conversations with you, Rory, because of the richness of culture and life that you have in your experience. Born in Ireland, and then you spent some time in Thailand. Now you are in Dubai. And by the way, you said 40 to 43 degrees. I want to make sure that everybody knows that is Celsius, not Fahrenheit.
Yes. Sorry. I don't know what that transfers to Fahrenheit, but it's hot. That's all I need to say.
But then, living in Dubai, you have the educational background, you have your psychology background. Like, wow, so much happening there. And so what, I looked at your title here, Director of Instructional Coaching. What is instructional coaching, Rory?
Yeah, there's kind of 2 words. I'll give you kind of the definition I use. I was just presenting it today, actually. It's a partnership with teachers to help them improve their teaching and learning so students can become more successful. What I kind of frame it to people who are not in education, who don't know, it's performance coaching. So teaching is a performance. And like every performance, you can only teach a particular element of a lesson with those students once a year. That's it. So we want to really optimize those performances and those teaching practices to improve our student learning outcomes. And where coaching comes in there is a partnership approach, non-directive, non-judgmental, non-evaluative, where we're working with the teachers as kind of a second pair of eyes on the students' learning, and then asking them questions to identify what areas in their practice that they feel will have the greatest impact on students.
We're going to bring you back here and have an episode on instructional coaching only, because there is a depth over there, and let's make sure that we have that. Rory, it would be wonderful to have a conversation again with you. If we focus on the Dubai experience, Dubai is an international city. You mentioned earlier today, before we hit the recording button, that is a city of 95% of the city is of expats.
And about between 80 and 90% around
80 and 90. Yes, yeah. It's a huge chunk of the population there. And right in Arabic and Muslim culture, you have this city there. What can you tell us about this experience of being in such a, I would say, different culture from growing up in Ireland?
Yeah, you do feel it. You do feel obviously the culture, kind of, as all cultures would, kind of mirror the environment as well. So with the heat and the direct sun and the sand. But I think one thing that I've noticed here is the Arabic culture is very welcoming, and they're known for their hospitality. But in kind of psychological terms, you have this collectivist approach within Arab, very based on their family, their community. But what you have in Dubai is a highly individualistic city, where it's very focused, fast paced, achievement, growth, personal accomplishment, and career. And what you notice here in most kind of dinner parties, the question is, so what do you do here in Dubai? Now, what I loved in Ireland back in the summer, how are you doing? Person first. And it's very career focused. Now, for me, I've really enjoyed our time here, because you get a choice of lifestyles here as well, and because of the seasons, and you make some amazing friends, which kind of become family, but also it's very transactional and transient. And I think the transactional piece is a key one to remember, because it's transient, you're kind of passing each other by and having these interactions. And there is a gap for more transformational conversations and slowing people down for reflective practices. And coaching is actually, I've been in the last 18 months, I've seen coaching really start to evolve within Dubai in many industries. Performance coaches, well-being coaches, and then within education, there's a huge shift. And with people that are focused on their career, their growth, their achievement, well, I think we can both agree there's only one process that will help you develop that, and that's a full coaching cycle.
Yeah, and I've had several students and mentees from Dubai, and I know that there is a curiosity and a growth around this idea of coaching. One thing that what you said there caught my curiosity here. You mentioned the distinction between what would be the primary question in a party in Ireland and in a social gathering there in Dubai. I would imagine that you have been, or that you at least have some ideas of, outside of Dubai in a more Arabic and Muslim situation. What would be the primary question there? I wonder.
Well, the one thing you notice, and I have this quite regularly, because within my work, we have our Arabic teachers, so they're teaching our students Arabic, and we have our Islamic teachers. So you will walk past, and when you walk past their classrooms, and it's a very noticeable cultural difference. You walk through the corridors, you'll have a lot of the Westerner teachers here sitting in their classrooms, usually by themselves, working away, maybe eating their lunch. But when you walk past the kind of the Muslim teachers and the Islamic and Arabic, they'll be all together. Coffee, food, connection, collaboration, sharing, and they always welcome you in. I cannot walk past them without them going, "Come in and have some shawarma, Habibi, come." And what they really respect, and I actually didn't realize this until I've done it regularly last year, when you greet them in their language. when you say good morning to them, and like all cultures, and their eyes light up. They're like, oh wow. And what you're doing is like, I see you is kind of, I think there's a great
Mm.
word in South Africa. What's it called? And it means I see you, something. And do you know what it is? No, I can't
Yes,
remember.
Ubuntu or
That's it.
something similar.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes, that's it. Thank you. And it is. So I think when you're an international teacher, and we teach the international baccalaureate, like open-mindedness, cultural sensitivity, global mindedness, and with that comes acceptance. And coaching is perfect for that. Now, I spend a lot of time with my Arabic colleagues. One of my best experiences was an Arabic colleague from Egypt. And I said, I'd love to do one of the longest days in Ramadan as a fast, but I want to break it properly. Like, I don't know what to do. And he says, right, if you do a full day, 4:20 in the morning, wake up, and then 6:55 to break fast in the evening. You don't have water or food. I will bring you and we will do it properly. Oh, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in a buffet in the middle of the desert. And we shared it, and he showed me like you have to have your fruit juice and then your dates. But then he was in Egypt, and it was the first time he exposed me to all this Arabic food. And I was like, oh my God, this is the nicest food. Now I hadn't eaten for like 14 hours. So it was
Oh
um
my gosh.
yeah.
I love this experience and I love this account. I am a person, I grew up in Brazil. I lived in the US for most of my life actually, but this idea of it's fascinating to me to see how people interact with each other and how people live their lives and the nuances of culture. So thank you for sharing that episode of the Ramadan and the closing of the Ramadan there. I wonder, Rory, with this experience that you have working with the teachers and clients from Arabic and Muslim culture, what nuances do you see in the coaching process?
There's I'll get to the coaching process because there was something I learned 2 years ago was that what you feel is that when you're speaking to people from this region and you're sharing new ideas, there's a sense of just another Westerner coming over and telling us how to do things.
Mm.
And when I start doing my professional development and engaging in coaching cycles with my colleagues and using the coaching process and approach, I was like, it's based in partnership. So how do I find a way to partner with them and align myself? And it wasn't until I came across the word Ershad, which is an Arabic word for guidance, showing the way and leading to the right path. And I read the book called Coaching in Islamic Cultures, which is called The Practice of Ershad by a very well-known coach in education called Christian van Urber. And when I read that and I started to open my sessions with that word and kind of the translation, then their whole barriers just kind of went down. And what I was trying to kind of emphasize is that coaching is in all languages and all cultures. You can
Mm.
trace it back in the Greeks. So this is not me bringing a Western view. I'm bringing a process that is already embedded in your language, which you can see. It's embedded in your culture, which is there. So now how do I bring that out to meet the needs of your particular cultural um, kind of nuances and language? And then once we had that, then they were open to a reflective practice. Now, as I said, there's a hierarchical nature. So trying to ask questions where particularly I would say the Arab males have to think and answer because of their upbringing within hierarchy and authority. And if I'm in that position, it's very hard for them to just express because they're worried for getting it wrong, getting it right, and they're used to judgments. So it takes a lot of time to just have these small, what I call them corridor coaching because it's in the corridor, but like laser focused coaching sessions. So it's consistent, my presence, kind of practicing coaching, asking questions, listening. And now because of this, and then you get working with them. And then once again, I believe this, once you experience coaching yourself and you can see the benefits, you want to reciprocate that So now what I have is I just had it today. Two of my colleagues started new year. How am I going to have all my coaching sessions with you this year? And then the head of there's like, Rory, can we make sure we have regular group team coaching for all of us, please? And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's brilliant, no problem. But
They are
very
looking.
intentional 2 years ago, very intentional of building relationships at their level using their language. And I think I always recommend, I've posted a few times on LinkedIn, just anyone who's kind of coaching in this region is I would recommend Ershad, the book. It gives a great understanding. And even just using that word with clients, it's like the barriers go down. They're like, oh, you understand my culture and you're accepting and respecting it. And you're like, now we can connect.
I love this. What I'm getting from what you're saying here is your ability as a coach and the importance for all of us to align our language to the language of the person. And when I say language, it's not Arabic language. It's the
Mhm.
cultural language. It's the mindset language that that person has, and be able to understand where is this person coming from. What are the nuances, the places where we are going to connect, where we are going to meet, and we are going to build trust and safety, and there will be an openness to the person. And fascinating there. So thank you for that particular word, and thank you for this idea of adapting and flexing your style to meet the client where the client is. What is most challenging working with this culture?
What I've found personally is building the most challenging is building that relationship so you can get honest reflections. So honest reflections from the client without judgment, without their perceived judgment of me. And that's why I mentioned like 2 years, of being here consistently. And I do find that now on the flip side, because we are in this region, but Dubai is very unique. With 80 to 90% expatriates, I would say a lot of my clients, my personal clients outside of my work are Westerners. US, UK, Ireland, Europe, Australia, kind of that sort. And the medium of English is also there. And I think that's the all the different languages here and how to learn how to be very clear and concise with your questioning
Hmm.
is a key because people's ability for English language, if it's second language, and they're not maybe as practiced, is one thing I've learned how to, especially with my Irish accent. I put on my best international voice, which I have right now for you.
Thank you.
Those two key challenges is building up those trusting relationships so you can get honest reflections from the kind of client.
Yeah.
Um, and then the use of my language to help kind of spark that inquiry, that reflective thinking, to lead to meaningful kind of answers from the client.
I'm assuming that you always coach in English. Is
Yes,
okay, good. Yeah.
yes,
So it's interesting that it's not just you working with the Muslim and Arabic population, but it is also that you coming from Ireland and being a Westerner I bet that has a huge impact in the relationship that you have and how the client is perceiving you
Mhm.
as the coach in the hierarchical society. So many little nuances there. What has been most rewarding about this experience, Rory?
Um, Personally, there's two elements, but within the kind of the region and with my colleagues, is actually having those relationships where now there's, I would say, consistent desire to have coaching conversations with me, where you get honest reflections, which now kind of you have those kind of light bulb moments for them, and then they make forward action. And most importantly, they get better, and once they feel that, then you kind of, they learn that process, but they're always willing to go out of the way and just seek you out. And I've noticed I think maybe you'd notice this, is that when you kind of are more coach-like, you can really sense when someone stops you in passing, if they're looking for Rory the coach or not. You're like, okay, coach hat on. What's going on? What's on your mind?
Because
And
this is another fascinating aspect of your story, because you are also, another layer of this story here is that you are an internal coach. You're working within an organization, and your clients are part of the system that you are there all the time. So this is another layer of the relationship here. A final question that I have for you here, Rory, because unfortunately we're going to have to close our conversation here, and of course you're going to come back for sure. Here, like having this experience of coaching clients in this particular culture, how has that uh, helped you in your development as a coach and in the approach that you have, regardless of the client that is in front of you?
I think there's two things. You paraphrased it perfectly, and I'd kind of forgotten some of those areas of the coaching components. You know what I mean? The competencies, sorry, of using the language to meet the client where they're at. That's a key one. Um, Adapting, and which is a better word, flexing my style. And I think that those are the key ones. But what I've really, really learned, and feel actually more so, is that coaching as like a kind of person-centered process is, like, you do take away the layers of differences, and you're just two people. And we know what's around, in particularly in this region, you feel it. And you're coaching someone, and you're just connected with them, and they believe you're here for them, and you're supporting them, and their trust, and there's alignment. And you break away all the layers of differences, and you're just two humans connecting, and it is beautiful. And I know, like, but I think we all feel that as coaches in certain sessions, that just kind of flow state. It's kind of like a dance. You're just moving together, synchronized, and it's one of the most beautiful things. And for me, it's very good for me, because I'm kind of evolving in my career out of teaching into kind of leadership. I miss that connection and that dance in a lesson, where you're flowing with the kids on a journey of learning through, like, your lesson, and there's an outcome. There's always moving forward. That's what education is moving kids forward, and coaching is the same. So I'm very lucky that the biggest joy I had in my classroom is actually pretty much the same in a coaching conversation.
Yeah. Oh, listeners, I hope that you just paid attention to this last bit of piece that Rory gave us here. This idea that coaching, when we are connecting with our clients, it breaks the barriers. With all of these labels that we tend to create in our society, in our human adventure here, all of them, all of a sudden they are not important. The importance is the human to human connection, regardless of the background, regardless of where we come from, regardless of our past experiences. It's the coach and the client connecting in partnership. Wow, Rory, you made my day just by that.
That was brilliant.
So, Rory, thank you so much for being here. And as I said, we are going to bring you back because you have such rich experience there. I think that we can all learn from you. So thank you for being here. Everyone, thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode with others. And I will see you next time. Take care.
Thank you.